Hel Hello, everyone. We are live, and I can see some of you have already started streaming in. To all those of you who have just joined in, thank you so much for joining us from whichever city, whichever country that you're dialing in from. Very quickly in the chat window to all close to 50 of you and counting, if you can let me know which city or which country you are dialing in from. We want to know where our students are coming in. We want to know where our audience is coming in. So we have Ria from Delhi. Hi, Ria. Anyone else, all those of you who are just coming in very quickly in the chat window, which city you are joining in from. We have a very, very exciting masterclass for you, brought to you by Loyola Marymount University on a super interesting topic. So Rishabh from Bombay, a lot of people from Delhi, Kerala, Chandigarh, Cochin, Haryana, the length and breadth of the country. We also have people from Nigeria. Thank you so much. People from Karachi, Pakistan, our friends across the border. Anyone else who's, joining us from any other city apart from India, if you could let us know which city or which country you're dialing in from. A very warm welcome. I can see we are close to 111 and counting. We have people from Nepal. So thank you so much. We Trust me when I say this, we have a very, very, very exciting masterclass for you today on the topic of tackling big issues in accounting, Bitcoin, fraud, and diversity. All of these big names being thrown out there. And in this masterclass, we are going to be exploring how Bitcoin, fraud, and diversity are all connected and how understanding these connections can help you create better financial systems for everyone. But before I sort of jump into what this masterclass is going to be talking about in depth, introduce you to my fellow panelists, I am going to run the first poll question for the evening, uh, which is going to be on your screen right in front of you. So all 150 and counting of you, your first poll question for this evening is on the screen in front of you. What is your primary motivation for pursuing, let's say, an MBA or a master's in the US? Is it career advancement opportunities? Is it access to world-class education? Is it networking and global connections? Are you someone who has entrepreneurial ambitions? Are you looking for personal growth and skill development, or is that something else? So, to all those of you who have just joined in, the first poll question for this evening is on the screen in front of you. If you could let us know what is your primary motivation for pursuing your master's or your MBA in the US, there are a couple of options out there for you. Let us know which one do you feel is closest to what you are looking at. So, while you are still letting us know which city and country you're dialing in from, very quickly, go ahead and cast your poll questions. I am going to keep it live for a little bit more before I end it. I see close to 70% of you have already cast your answers. I'm waiting for a few more of you to very quickly go and cast your answers to what is your primary motivation. And I know most of you present in the room today are looking to pursue your higher education abroad. So what is it that motivates you to do that? With that, I am going to end the first poll question for this evening and share the results with everyone present. So 41% of you are looking for career advancement opportunities, closely followed by personal development, growth and skill development, access to world-class educations, and other things. So thank you so much for all those of you who've casted your votes. Like I said, we have a very interesting masterclass brought to you today from Loyola Marymount University on the topic of accounting, Bitcoin, fraud, and diversity. Very quick introduction to myself and the fellow panelists. My name is Sabahat Herzog. I am an associate director with Seed Global Education. We are a UK headquartered company which facilitates interactions between top global universities like the one that we have with us today and prospective students like yourself who are looking to get an understanding, connect with these universities, understand a little bit more in depth about what they have to offer before you make your decision. Joining me is Dr. James Plejnik, who is the Associate Professor of Accounting. He teaches tax courses at the undergrad and grad levels. His research expertise includes US tax policy, tax avoidance, planning, and applied ethics. And he also has his research published in several publications and journals. Thank you so much, Dr. Plechnik, for joining us today. Along with him, we also have Dr. Terry Wang, who is the Clinical Associate Professor of Accounting. Her research interests revolve around the roles and responsibilities of security analysis in the financial markets and the economic consequences of security analysis. She is a member of the American Association of Accounting, the Canadian Academic Accounting Association, and the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Thank you so much, Dr. Wang, for taking your time and joining us. We also have with us Emily Agnello, who's the Assistant Director of Graduate Recruitment at Loyola Marymount University. She has over 7 years of experience in admission and is extremely passionate about what she does and is here to help you all on your journey to go to LMU with your careers, with all of your education needs. She is your go-to person. And of course, we also have with us Mafreen, who is a student advisor for LMU for their Masters of Accounting program. Mafreen is also here in case if you wish to connect with her later, get your queries and questions answered with anything that you may require. So without further ado, we are close to 250 odd students in the room right now. I would now like to hand over the stage, so to say, to Dr. Plechnik and Dr. Wang to start with their presentations. Thank you.
Hi, thank you all for joining us this evening. I know it's evening in India and it's actually morning here in California. So we have the pleasure of being here to talk about all these big issues in accounting. So after today, I hope you all know that accountants don't always just deal with debits and credit. We don't always just do number crunching. We actually talk about some big issues too. So let's get the masterclass started. So what exactly is accounting? I think a lot of people have the misconception that accounting is very black and white. It's very boring. You just follow the rules and record a transaction. But in reality, accounting actually involves a lot of different parties. You have standard setters, you have users of accounting information, you have preparers of accounting information. So in the end, we want to make sure that we are providing good information for people to make good decisions. And in the end, we can do a lot of good with accounting so we can have a prosperous society. So this is our approach in graduate accounting education. Dr. Plechnik will introduce how our program is different from other programs.
Yes, so what I want to say about LMU's approach to graduate education is, number one, you're going to get up-to-date information on accounting, tax, analytics, every topic that will make you employable. In that survey that a large number of you selected that you are attending this seminar so that you can increase your employment prospects. And that is probably the number one thing that our programs do. And that's because we don't just teach stuff that we already know, all of the existing accounting information, but we also focus on the highly sought after skills that are listed at the bottom of the slide. Research would be one, critical thinking another, communication a third. And when you think about it, if you end up with all the skills on this slide, you are going to be career ready in the United States 100%, and I would say worldwide as well. One thing I would also like to add to this slide is not only graduate education focused on teaching you all the technical skills that are at the top of the slide, all of the other skills that we're going to talk a little bit more about at the bottom of the slide, but we also have STEM certification, which makes it much, much easier for you to pursue career goals in the longer term. But all of that aside, my main focus as this presentation goes on will be primarily on research development, the first of the skills at the bottom of the slide, although our program does handle all of them. Oh yes, thank you for moving that forward. So basically, yes, research will be my primary focus. And I think a lot of people, when they think about accounting, as Dr. Wang mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, is that you just go out a bunch of information, and then you go to work. Maybe that was 50, 60 years ago, but it certainly is not true anymore. You need the ability to create new knowledge and adapt to the changes in the marketplace. The only way to really do that is to be capable of doing research, capable of confronting the uncertainty in the accounting market. And I think that is probably the strongest characteristic of our program period. We have many, many classes, probably the majority of classes about it, that have a research component. And they're just going to, all these classes are going to be giving you the skills to go beyond what the average accounting professional has. You go to another university in the United States, yes, everyone's going to be teaching you the basic information, but we're going to go well beyond that with our focus on research. And I guess next, yeah.
So what exactly is accounting research? So accounting research is to help you advance knowledge, to find answers of what you don't know already. So this is a famous quote from a famous professor who's educated in Chicago and ended up being a professor at Oxford University, Anthony Hopwood. So he said, accounting has been a craft that has had no essence. It has changed significantly across time. So maybe 50, 60 years ago, knowing the debits and credit would be enough. But as of now, with AI and all the technologies, you have to be one step ahead of a lot of people to stay in the profession. So we want to make sure that we are able to make things different for ourselves and for the profession and for the society. So we want to do accounting research to move forward our understanding of accounting and times and practice of accounting itself. So accounting research at this point is probably a very abstract idea. So we're going to talk about what kind of accounting research are there. So in our curriculum, we teach you to do professional accounting research as well as academic accounting research. So professional accounting research can be dealing with financial reporting. You have to find how to report any unusual transactions or events. Sometimes when you have a new contract and you look at it as like, how am I going to report this? Am I the principal in this contract or am I the agent in this contract? Because principal and agent have different revenue recognition policies. So sometimes some of the facts will point towards principal, some of the facts will point towards agent. You have to determine whether you need to outweigh certain factors or you need to just make a judgment call. So this is where the critical thinking and the judgment come into play. And sometimes you need to decide the effect of a new accounting standards. Many couple of years ago, we implemented the new revenue recognition standard. A lot of companies are freaking out because they really don't know how to actually use the new accounting standards. So as a professional accountant, you should be able to implement new standards for your company or for your clients. And the tax professional research will help you determine your tax compliance and do a lot of tax planning and also determine the impact of some new tax laws.
Can I add a little in there?
Yes.
So just talking a little bit about the middle of the slide, I am a tax faculty at LMU specifically. So if you do come to Loyola Marymount, chances are you'll have me for a tax class first. And the reason why I really like this bullet point in the middle of the slide is this is actually the primary content that I teach. We do a little bit about tax compliance. We do a little bit about the impact of new laws, both very important, but a lot of the time people would consider research into tax compliance and even tax compliance in general to be the lower order skill in the tax world. That's something that you can involve yourself in tax compliance and even compliance research without as much training. And basically, tax compliance is filling out the forms, communicating the information to the government, and just making sure everything is in good order. But it's not very creative. It's kind of the lowest step of the tax process. conversely, you kind of have the highest step, the highest order skills when you're talking about the impact of new tax laws. Usually every 10, 15, 20 years in the United States, you have a massive shift in the way that taxes are handled. And then there'll be a few years people are just kind of trying to figure out what these changes to the law actually do to the professional environment, actually do to the day-to-day work of accountants and tax professionals. So it's very much a higher order skill, but it happens kind of rarely. But then that middle bullet point, the one that references planning, this is not only the core of my class, but I would say it's the core of what a tax professional in the United States in 2024, and frankly, I would say worldwide as well, is going to be focused on one of these top jobs. And I think we're going to reference this a few times during the presentation, but getting you those top jobs will be a huge focus of our program. So I want to teach you the skills that will get you those top jobs. And that's going to be that middle bullet point, because basically tax research in this middle bullet point, which is focused on planning, is effectively making you a consultant who helps your clients to transactions in a way that is more tax efficient. And usually what that is a bit of money, sometimes even a very large amount of money. We'll talk a little bit about international issues later in the presentation, but one of the biggest issues that you focus in planning is how do you structure international transactions? Where should you be doing your business? Where should you bring your employees? Where should you be basing your new factories, your intellectual capital? This bullet point you could spend an entire career on, and these seven-figure jobs, $1 million plus a year jobs, because this is the focus of my course and the focus of the majority of tax careers in the United States, I would say.
All right, okay, and then another part of accounting research is academic research. This is where a lot of accounting professors spend their time on, trying to find the cause effect of all the aspects in the accounting profession. So one example of academic accounting research is, well, if you have a more diversified audit team, would that lead to higher audit quality? Okay, so that can be done in a way, either through a survey or through some archival research that will help the profession to determine whether increasing the diversity is a good thing for the profession. So Professor Plechnik here will give you some examples of some of the exciting student projects that he has.
Yeah, so I'll these next couple of slides by talking about the process that even came into existence in the first place. So what I ended up selecting for these next two slides are 4 student projects that I worked on with my students over the last semester, the fall 2023 semester. And throughout my class, that on the last, we're primarily focused on research that deals with tax planning. So you're going to notice a large on that as we go through these projects. But before we even talk about that, I want to talk about the process of how these ideas even come to be, because I actually think that is probably the #1 value that our program offers. We have kind of a mentor-mentee model at LMU, even if it's kind of informal. I think it runs through pretty much all of our coursework. The way that the research on the slide right now came into existence is throughout my class, throughout the semester, you'll be coming in and meet me, and I'll be giving you goals to accomplish over the weeks. And as you move forward, as you accomplish goal after goal. You come up with your research question, you come up with how to investigate it, you explain to me why that research question matters. You go through all of these goals, you will notice that your research gets better and better and better until finally you have a project that is so interesting that when I was to present a masterclass here, I was just thinking, wow, I can pick any number of the projects that my students and I worked on last semester, because so many of them were interesting, and not interesting because they're focused on planning and professional research, meaningful to society and maybe even meaningful to you as well. So do you learn valuable research skills when you are working on these projects? You get a very fun mentor-mentee process that I think helps you not just in research, but in your career. You produce the that actually might benefit society, might even benefit you. Sometimes when I read a student project, I realize halfway through the semester that they're working on this project because they believe, and probably are right in believing, that this project can help the student themselves. It's an issue that they are passionate about, and they know that if they research well, they can actually benefit themselves and they can plan for their own tax. So I've got 4 great examples here, and I think now that you know the process of how these things come to be, I am going to jump in and just go one by one, starting at the top. So the first project I want to highlight is one that is about cryptocurrency. And what you notice is it's called Cryptocurrencies Day in Court. And that's because 2023, whether you know this or not, was a huge year for litigation of cryptocurrency issues in the United States. I actually believe it was more or less a worldwide phenomenon, especially in the West, European Union and the United States at the very least. But there were a tremendous number of these consequential cases that if you were in the United States at the time, you'd have heard these names. You'd have heard of Sam Bankman. It was a huge issue. But what people don't know is this huge cryptocurrency, let's be honest, scam artist, Sam Bankman-Fried. He actually ended up running afoul with a number of IRS regulations. IRS, of course, meaning Internal Revenue Service, which is the entity that collects taxes and enforces tax rules in the United States. And so while everyone talks about Sam Fried as this guy who committed fraud and stole a bunch of people's money, truth be told, he violated a tremendous number of international tax laws because he would be basically hiding money and doing illegal, quote unquote, tax-free transactions across borders. But, you know, they were only tax-free because he wasn't reporting them. So it's actually a tremendous tax element to the biggest Bitcoin fraud, I believe, which actually came to a final legal decision in 2023. That was one component of this paper, kind of emphasizing the tax elements, the international tax fraud issues with the Sam Bankman-Fried cryptocurrency massive scam. The other one that was hit on in this paper, and probably the one that's more consequential from a tax planning perspective, because, you know, the Sam Bankman-Fried case is extremely interesting, but it's something that the average person will never face. You're never going to be, and I certainly hope you're never going to be, the person who goes out and commits a massive multi-billion-dollar fraud and breaks a bunch of tax rules in the process. So that one is almost like the tabloid cryptocurrency tax issue that probably there will never be another Sam Bankman-Fried fraud at a level so huge. But the second one up there, I would actually venture that a lot of people have heard of Coinbase. So Coinbase is a gigantic cryptocurrency exchange. And there has been a decade-long fight with the IRS about whether cryptocurrency really is decentralized and really is secret. For years, both sides, the taxpayer, which is kind of you or me, and the government, which in this case is represented by the IRS, they would fight back and forth, and the taxpayer, you or me, would always argue cryptocurrency is decentralized, you don't own it, and therefore we don't have to report anything we don't want to report. The government, of course, would say the exact opposite, because they realized if cryptocurrency became an actual established currency used in regular transactions, if there was no ability to compel reporting of it, that would mean you could effectively run as many secret transactions as you wanted. You could evade, cheat taxes as much as you wanted. So the giant cryptocurrency exchange that is, I believe, the most popular in the United States and the European Union, Coinbase, actually fought pretty aggressively to protect the tax privacy of its clients, of its taxpayers. But by the end of 2023, the breaking crypto news in 2023 from the perspective was that the government, the IRS, won the case. And if you deal with any crypto exchange and you have any affiliation with the United States, they are allowed to crypto exchange to disclose all of your transaction information. If you hit a certain threshold, I believe they determined the material threshold, the threshold where they could actually impose this law was about $20,000 of transactions. But still, the wider precedent has now been set, and it was literally set during the semester when I was teaching this class. So I guarantee when this tax write-up was made, it was the first formal tax write-up of kind of this academic / professional. It was a lot of fun to read. When I actually read the students' paper, I could not resist but to read the cases they picked out myself, because it's just such an interesting hot topic today. So to summarize that topic as best I can, two main cases in this student paper. We had a sensational fraud, the Sam Bankman-Fried case. Then we had a very meaningful tax planning issue, which you cannot hide your cryptocurrency. If you have any affiliation with the United States, our government has now won the right to compel all cryptocurrency tax information. And that means it's not as secret as you think it is. So be careful. That is something that I know a lot of the students in the class were surprised about and interested in, and I got a kick out of following as well. So moving down on the slide to helping international students. This was a project that evolved a lot throughout the semester. This student actually, for full disclosure, her mother is, I was so shocked at how effectively written this paper was. And then I learned apparently she has law in her blood, and that explains a lot about it. So I kept the text very short, but really I could talk all day about this bullet point. And I think this is a bullet point that could help thousands, maybe even millions of different individuals if the reasoning in the students project and they cited holds over time. But basically the student was exploring, mainly in the context of student athletes, if there was a way where you could be working in the United States without having to go through all of the legal paperwork early international to go through. So and probably some of you have faced this issue, or you're thinking about this issue at the very least. And the good news is there does seem to be some growing flexibility in how tax law treats international students who want to work in the United States. If it is not a significant, serious commitment of time, if it's not a 40-hour-a-week job, there are actually a lot of ways to get immigration services and the tax authority off of your back. And with all the athletes from overseas to play on US sports teams at their colleges, this just became a massive issue. Before 2023, you actually couldn't even work as a student athlete really in the first place. That's a very generalized way of explaining the issue. You weren't really able to work very much as a student athlete in the first place, so this issue never really came up. There wasn't a big lobbying group fighting for international students' ability to work. the moment our international student athletes became eligible to work in the United States under these, what we call name, image, and likeness, what ended up happening is you got a whole bunch of sports lobbyists who tried to figure out creative ways to allow international students to work in the United States. And actually, I've got to say, it has moved a lot faster than I expected. I suspect there'll be a lot of tax research on this topic at the bottom of the slide over the next 1 or 2 years. And by the time we hit 2025 or 2026, we will be thinking differently about how international students work in the United States. And it was just an absolute joy to read a project that, could be at the ground level of exploring such an important issue that affects millions, I guess more specifically billions of potential people over the years. So helping international students to work in the United States, I thought that was an extremely fun topic, extremely well delivered. So how about move to two? So first, I talked about cryptocurrency. That's a lot of fun. Some of you like it, some of you don't. I'm personally not a crypto guy. I'm analyzing it from the tax perspective, but I think it's a volatile investment. And now that I know the government can go after you, I'm even less interested. The international student issue I'm passionate about because I deal with a lot of international students, and the more we can, the better. But the one at the top of this slide, I gave it 3 lines. I could probably talk about it all day, but I think this is actually the most representative of what professional tax research really is in the United States. And what I mean by that is, most of the time, what people hire a CPA to do, a certified public accountant, which I would say is the goal of most students in the US educational system. But the goal of most CPAs who are researching is to find a way to generate massive savings. And that is what this student's project did. And I will tell you, I spent a good hour and a half after the semester is over to try and figure out if really this was the first time a paper like this had been written. And I actually am convinced at this stage it was. This is, I think, the best write-up I have ever seen on what we would call carried interest in the United States. And those terms mean nothing to you, but it's, if you Google, you'll figure it out pretty quickly what it's talking about. But it's this way that you basically transform business income from high tax to low tax, and a couple of loopholes in the tax law, one of which became an even more gaping loophole 4 or 5 years ago. You transform this income from high tax to low tax, and as of now, it is 100% and totally legal. And this is usually what your client, and frankly, what you are looking for. You're looking for a way to make a very tax inefficient, very high tax transaction into a very low tax transaction. Again, I could probably go on for half an hour about this. I guess I would make a policy comment on this because we did talk about the different aspects of tax policy briefly a couple of slides ago. And I think actually this is going to be a policy issue before it becomes a planning issue again. What I mean by that is I think that it's too permissive. The clients, the taxpayers, us, are too easily able to transform our highly taxed salaries into low capital gain income. And I think the Congress and the president
I think your video and audio are frozen, Dr. Lejnik. Dr. Wang, are you able to hear it?
a couple of perspectives. Number one, you get to save a bunch of money. Number two, I think it's going to lead to big policy towards the taxpayer. If that's possible, it is too favorable towards the taxpayer. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about just frankly a hilarious paper. I think when the student presented this paper, and by the way, if you take my class, usually the way it works is you write the paper throughout the semester, you present it at the end as your final exam. There's not like a formal final exam. Your presentation is your final exam. But this one just led to a bunch of laughs. People could not help but laugh at this project. And more or less in the United States, you know, we've got a lot of rich people, and for some reason they just can't help but try to get even richer. And there was a group of extremely wealthy parents who basically bribed their way into getting their children into fancy colleges and universities. But instead of just leaving it be, bribing the college, their son or daughter into the college, they thought, wait a minute, not only are we going to bribe the college, we are going to deduct it on our tax returns as a business expense or a charitable contribution. And what that did was, yeah, it saved them millions of dollars in the short term, but it created a paper trail that was just impossible to defend. So there were, I believe, 20 plus individuals. I should have made a total count of it, but there were 20 plus individuals who not only bribed their kids into college, but they were so arrogant, so greedy that they actually deducted to get tax savings a whole bunch of their bribery costs as either business expenses or charitable contributions. It was crazy. And it created a paper trail that literally got thrown in prison. But then there was one guy who kind of got the joke. He realized, wait a second, I know this is fraud. I'm not going to put any of this in writing. And the government basically pursued the people who put their illegal activities in writing. One of the people referenced in this bottom research project just was smart enough to never try to take a deduction, never try to take tax savings off of one of these transactions. And so he got off scot-free. He is a guy with $100 million in the bank. He definitely bribed his kid to get into actually a local university, not LMU, but one of our competitors. And he got off free because he was smart enough not to get too aggressive and make this a tax issue. All of these people who dealt with bribes and made it a tax issue got either hideously fined, some of them even thrown in prison. It was wild. It was a lot of fun. If you ever take my class, there will be some research projects where you will not be able to help but laugh, even though it is serious business and it is tax, which is generally not considered to be all that fun. So I think now we're done with my little research exhibition. I don't know. Would you like to take this slide or me?
No, you.
Okay. Sure. So I've referenced our program various times throughout this presentation, but I want to give a couple of specific notes to elements of the program that I think are unique, elements that you won't get at every university. So the first one is small classes. If you go to Loyola Marymount University, you will be dealing with people like me and Terry directly. You're not going to be filtered through a bunch of teaching assistants. You are going to have our attention. You'll be able to walk into our offices almost any hour of the day. I had a student walk into my office, not even kidding, 10 p.m. last night, even though I knew I had to wake up at 5:30 today to make sure I got this session. I still met with them at 10:30 last night. We have small classes. That means I will know everybody's name. We will know everybody's name, and we will have the time to support you no matter what. We will make sure everybody succeeds. We do an excellent job of that. Second bullet point, and I'm the point person on this, by the way. We provide incredible support and plan to provide even more in the upcoming year on CPA exam passage. Again, CPA is Certified Public Accountant. I think most people know that. But the US CPA license is extraordinarily powerful. It guarantees you employment. I'm willing to just say it guarantees you employment because it really does. And Loyola Marymount has an agreement with the largest CPA exam provider that every student gets access to Becker exam materials. And then I will mentor students through that process. I will help them with their paperwork. I've been authorized by the state of California to sign off on certified public accountant paperwork. I will be able to make sure all of you are set for CPA exam success. So bullet point number 3. And I think based on that survey earlier, this is probably the most important bullet point for a lot of you. Employers recruit at LMU. And by the way, it's not just the domestic students, it's the international students as well, because we are STEM designated, as you can see at the bottom of the slide. I believe in the last year, 100% of our students got jobs, whether they were domestic or international. I believe we will be able to help any solid student to get an excellent job. And we will make sure you become a solid student by the end of our 1-year program. Bullet point number 4, like I was mentioning in bullet point number 3, this is a 1-year program. Almost everyone is able to join this program and finish within a 1-year period. Many can actually finish within 2 semesters. So I have all confidence that you will have a transformative experience at LMU. You'll come here in the fall of 2024. You will leave with a job and with a lot of progress on the CPA exam and with success in your future. And then finally, gotta mention it again, gotta give it its own bullet point because I really think it matters. Dr. Wang was the lead individual on making sure this happened. I think it is extremely important that it did happen. As of the last incoming class, our programs have been STEM designated, in large part because of the research focus of our programs. So not only is the research fun, it also allows us to be STEM designated, allows you the opportunity, if you're an international student, to stay in the country for a guaranteed 3 years, which is plenty of time for immigration sponsorship to be taken care of. It is an outstanding benefit that Loyola Marymount has that not all institutions in this area have. Both of our programs, Masters of Accounting, Masters of Tax, they're both STEM designated. And then I think that's almost all we had, correct?
Yeah, and then this is a picture of our beautiful campus. We are
yes.
always ranked as one of the most beautiful campus in the United States. So, you will love it when you come.
Oh yeah, so not only is it beautiful, by the way, it's in California. And if you've never been to California, it is 70 degrees every day. The weather is perfect. You have a glorious view. You can see the ocean when you look to your left. You can see the Hollywood sign when you look to your right. I'm not even kidding. If the weather is good, you'll actually be able to see a panoramic view across all of Los Angeles from the beaches to Hollywood itself. It is unbelievable. I walk the campus every day, and it's the highlight of my day, many days.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Plechnik and Dr. Wang. Very insightful. I am so sure a lot of students are already California dreaming, so to speak. Okay, great. So if you could just quickly stop sharing your screen, Dr. Wang, we could move ahead. I know a lot of questions have come in. We are going to answer them shortly. But Dr. Plechnik, Dr. Wang, in your presentation, you also spoke a lot about OPT, CPT. You did touch upon the STEM component as well. So that before I hand over to Emily, that brings me to my second poll question for this evening. For everyone who is in the, sorry, I don't know what's happening. One second. Right. So for all of you who are there, I'm going to launch my second poll question for this evening, which is on the screen in front of you. To all 250 of you in the room, would you be more inclined to pursue a STEM-based graduate program if it offered opportunities for OPT? Yes. Is it a significant factor for you? Yes, but it is not a deciding factor. No, it's not something that really affects your decision. Or are you still someone who's a little bit unsure about this, wants to know a little bit more, does not know in which direction they are going? Please feel free to come on to the screen in front of you for the next poll question. Would you be more inclined to pursue a STEM-based graduate program if it is offered opportunities for OPT? So the answers are strolling in, I see 38% of you who have answered. I'm going to keep this going for a little bit more longer so that the rest of you can come and also cast your votes before we move ahead with our next presentation from this evening by Emily, who's going to be going into a lot more details about the programs, offerings, funding, scholarships, careers, etc. So with that, I am going to end the the second poll for this evening and share the results. So 49% of you feel that yes, it is absolutely, it's a very, very significant factor. Some of you also feel, yes, it is important, but it's not a deciding factor. And very few of you are unsure and not too sure if it impacts your decision. So great news for everyone. Thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for casting your votes. Most of the programs at LMU are STEM designated. With that, I now hand over to Emily to give you a lot more insight about the university, the programs, and the offerings. And please stick on. We will be taking all of your questions shortly post this presentation. Thank you. Emily, you're on mute.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Agnello. I am the Assistant Director of Graduate Recruitment at LMU. So I'm going to give you a little overview today about LMU as a whole, our STEM designated programs, and kind of taking the next steps to apply. So I know we just ended the presentation talking about how beautiful our campus is. So my presentation is filled with a lot of wonderful campus shots also. So a little bit about Loyola Marymount University as a whole. So we have been around for a long time. It was founded in 1911. We are located in Los Angeles, California. So there's a lot of benefits to being in such a big city in the United States because, you know, the bigger the city, the more opportunities there are for our students. So it benefits a lot of our students being in the LA area. And also, it's a very fun city to study in. It's a great overview of the United States as a whole, and we definitely welcome students from all different backgrounds to come join us at LMU. So we are a private institution. We are considered an R2 institution, so a higher research activity university. So we do have research happening in all of our colleges across campus. We have over 50 graduate programs. So I will speak specifically about our STEM designated programs, but we have programs in liberal arts, in business, communications and fine arts. We have a top 8 film and television college. And then we have education programs. We have a law school. We also have science and engineering programs. So we really do have programs all across the board. And a great thing about LMU is since we are a smaller institution, a lot of our colleges work together. A lot of our programs work together. So no matter what program you are, you have access to all the different resources across campus, really despite what college you're a part of. The LMU mission is very important to us also. We are a Jesuit institution. So Jesuit is an off branch of Catholicism. And as our mission is important to us. None of our students, though, are required to participate in any religious activities, but there are religious activities available to all of our students. Our mission is the encouragement of learning, the education of the whole person, and the service of faith and promotion of justice. So this is important because we, across the LMU, really encourage you to get the most out of your experience. We don't want you just coming, getting a degree and leaving. We want you coming to LMU, being able to learn everything that you're interested in learning, whether that be academically, professionally, research-wise. We want you making the most of your experience. But then we also want you to be a well-rounded student. So if you're interested in, you know, those career opportunities, internship opportunities, we're here to help you with that. If you're interested in the arts or interested in athletics, we also have that. So we want you leaving LMU as a well-rounded student. And then also the service of faith and promotion of justice. We really encourage our students to, after they graduate LMU, go out and make a difference in the world. We want you going to the LA community or the communities you're from and being able to make a community impact. We are really important. We really emphasize being able to make a difference wherever you're coming from with the knowledge and education you're gaining at LMU. So we do have some wonderful rankings here. I know Dr. Wang mentioned we actually in 2023, we were the third most beautiful college campus in the United States. That is not on there, but it's very accurate. But also for 2023, we were number 77 in the News and World Report. Number 90 in the Wall Street Journal in Times of Higher Education. Then we also have the number 6 best science facilities from the Princeton Review. So all of those are really important facts when deciding where to go if rankings are important to you. And then what LMU looks like as a whole, we have a little over 10,000 students. So we're a good medium-sized institution. We have a large undergraduate population. And we have a little under 2,000 graduate students and around 1,100, that's typed wrong, 1,100 law school students. Our law school students are counted separately from our regular graduate school students because they're actually on their own campus. So we typically don't see them on main campus very often. And then 10% of our students are international with 90 countries represented. So a little bit about our location. I know Dr. Plexia kind of described this, but here's a nice drawn map of where LMU's campus is. So as you can see, we're on the west side of Los Angeles. We are very close to the beach. We're very close to Venice Beach, to Santa Monica. And when you stand on the edge of campus, you can see the ocean, you can see Malibu, you can see the hills, you can see the Hollywood sign also. And then in the winter, it's crazy because some of those mountains are actually snow-capped back there. And you can see snow-capped mountains with the Hollywood sign, the ocean, all in one kind of spinning view. So our campus is absolutely beautiful. If you're ever in the US and in LA, we encourage you to come visit us. We do give campus tours to students weekly. So there are some key points, the Hollywood sign, Santa Monica Pier. And also we're very close to Disneyland. That is also a very exciting thing. We're maybe an hour away from Disney. So a lot of students find that very attractive too. And then we're near Silicon Beach. So Silicon Beach is a big tech hub in the area. So a lot of our tech companies are down there. A lot of our big headquarters are down there. We have a campus in Playa Vista, which is a few blocks over from main campus, where our School of Film and Television and our business analytics programs are. And they share a building with Facebook. They're right around the corner from Google and Yahoo. So a lot of the really big companies are right by our campus. So here are some of our overall top employers for all of our graduate programs. Since we have graduate programs in all different areas, students kind of end up at all different companies in all different capacities. But you can see a lot of companies come to our campus to recruit our students. And I know it was mentioned how almost 100% of the graduating students got jobs, and that's kind of across the board for all of our programs. So here are STEM designated programs. So from our College of Business Administration, we have our MS in Accounting, our Business Analytics, and our Taxation program. And then from our Seaver College of Science and Engineering, we have our classic engineering programs. So we have a civil engineering, computer science, electrical engineering, environmental science, and mechanical engineering. So all of these programs are considered STEM designated, and you can get that additional OPT when in these programs. Some of the general admission requirements, this does vary program to program, but just so you're prepared when applying to programs, these are the general things that might be needed. But as I said, I highly recommend specifically looking on the website for the program you're going to apply for, as they are slightly different for every program at LMU. So we do require a bachelor's degree. We look for a 3.0 or higher. We typically ask for a resume and a personal statement. Personal statement typically is, why you want to be in this program, what are your career goals, and how can LMU help achieve those. We do require letters of recommendation. Then we do require an official transcript and an official transcript evaluation. So we will need your transcript evaluated by a US-based transcript evaluation company to ensure it is equivalent to a US bachelor's degree. And then we do require the language proficiency test, so TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo. And then if you are applying to LMU, we do offer our seed partners a application fee. As you can see, that's there at the bottom. It is SEED in all capital letters. And then I encourage you to connect with us if you have any questions. This is my direct email, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And then I also want to introduce Mafrin, who is our student advisor for the MSA program, for the MS in Accounting program. She is here to help you along the way if you have any questions about applying or the application process. She is your go-to. So Mafrin, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Students, welcome to through the Calendly link, and I'll help you all out.
Wonderful. If anyone has any questions, I know we'll put the Calendly link in the chat also. And same with, wonderful. And then same with, we are offering some of the SEED scholarships to our students, and I do believe we have a link for that will go in the chat too. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or to Mafrin. So So we can start answering some of the questions in the chat. I think they might be having some technical issues, but let's see. One of the questions is there any prior learning or understanding you need to enroll? I don't know if you all want to talk about some of the requirements that you look for when reviewing applications or what background students typically have before coming into the program.
We can work with most of the students who are interested in pursuing career accounting. So at the moment, the only requirement is that you would need to have some basic accounting classes, such as financial accounting and managerial accounting. All the other courses can be taken at LMU as additional units required for the program. So sometimes if you don't have all the prerequisite coursework, it would just take longer, but we can work with almost anybody.
Wonderful. And then another one was, does LMU directly teach about the CPA, or do you just require, or you just provide assistance in order to pass the CPA exams?
So I guess I could comment on that one. What I would say about the CPA exam is right now we make sure that we're teaching content that is relevant to the CPA exam in the classes that we teach. That's one important aspect. But we are looking to more formally integrate CPA review with the master's programs. And I think we'll have some sort of rollout of that over the next year, actually. So we will have a structured program to support our students and make sure that they pass the exam. And that will be both mentorship and some content assistance as well. So I think we will make sure that our students pass that exam.
Wonderful. And then a little bit about scholarships. So I know the MS in Accounting program does have a SEED scholarship, so you can definitely apply for that. And then outside of that, the College of Business Administration does offer merit-based scholarships when you submit your application. And then besides that, at LMU as a whole, we do offer graduate assistantships, there are research assistantships, teaching assistantships. So once you enroll as a graduate student with us, there's a lot of different opportunities for you to apply to work on campus or be an assistant for the faculty members or work in one of the offices at LMU. But all of the assistantship opportunities typically happen once you register for classes and you have access to our student employment like job board where a lot of these opportunities are posted. And then Is the GRE required? So yes, it is for the MSA program. Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
My system had frozen completely. I believe you all have started answering some of the questions.
Yes, we have. I assume that. All good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry.
But yeah,
Okay.
no GRE, GMAT required in answer
Right.
to that question. We give waivers if you have solid GPAs, and that policy is on the website.
Okay. So Emily, we also had another question previously about someone who wanted to know, do you all offer any online courses as well? So I know you all have the full-time programs which are on campus. Are there any distant learning options also available for students who are looking to study remotely?
Not for the MSA and the MST programs. Those do require you to be in person. The majority of our programs will require you to be on campus at some point. Across all of our colleges, we don't have many fully online classes. I think LMU is a very interactive school. We like our students to be with us. We like to know them. So we do really like you to come in person.
Great. So I believe you've already taken up the question about scholarships. We've spoken about the GMAT or the GRE. Yes, students are also looking at, I know they've spoken about part-time jobs, etc. I'm going to rephrase this a little bit. Can we talk about the career opportunities, or what exactly does the career service team or everyone at LMU do for those students who are coming in from, let's say, India or Africa? How is it that you handhold them and guide them, considering that most of your courses do have an integrated STEM designation?
I guess I can take that one. What I would say is the accounting department at LMU, and of course, accounting is the umbrella under which both the master's in accounting and the master's in tax falls under. But the accounting department at LMU takes care of its students. We have basically our own career services function, our own recruiting events. We have all the relationships with the firms, and they are extraordinarily strong. Basically, you will work with our accounting society and our faculty, and we will make sure that nobody is left behind. By the end of it, the recruiting events and the faculty will connect the students with as many firms as they need. And by the end of it, probably by the end of your first semester, you will have a job lined up for after you graduate. And it's all handled in-house. And so it's all customized to each individual student that we get to know so quickly, it becomes easy to pull off.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That is really helpful. I know a couple of you had asked for the application fee waiver. I have put the application fee waiver code in the chat window. Also sending a link to the scholarship program that LMU has in partnership with Seed Global Education for those looking to apply for the MS in Accountancy program. I believe Mafreen has also already shared her Calendly link. I'll be resharing that. Another quick thing is a lot of students are looking to get their transcripts evaluated at this point in time. Considering the deadlines which are upcoming, let's say if a particular student is looking to apply for the upcoming deadline, is there a provision wherein they could go through with submission of their other documents, and then y'all will be happy to wait for them to get their transcripts, etc., evaluated a little bit later?
Yeah, of course. So just submit what you have for now, and then we just evaluate your application using a holistic approach, and then if we need this transcript evaluation, we'll let you know. So most of the time, it's only necessary after you've been admitted.
Okay.
Yes, in order to enroll in classes, we do need a transcript evaluation, but we can review the application without it.
Okay, so I hope that answers your question. I have also posted Mafreen's Calendly link. Mafreen is available for those of you who want to get in touch with her and speak. I know some of these questions I haven't. So if someone is already currently pursuing an MS in accountancy and finance, and they decide to sort of take a transfer from let's say, India or Africa and join the program at LMU, would they be getting an exemption on certain courses, or would they enroll as a full-time student and start from scratch?
The university policy is that you can transfer up to 2 graduate level courses.
Okay,
So if you're completing a Master of Science in Finance at some other institution, we can look at the transcript, we can transfer 2 courses, meaning that you only be taking 8 courses in the United States at LMU.
all right. Thank you so much, Dr. Wang. Another quick question, which is, of course, revolves around, just like the GMAT and GRE, the IELTS and TOEFL English language proficiency test. Could you shed some light on that for international students specifically? What are the bands that you're looking at? Is there an exemption of any kind? What is the process?
So we can provide TOEFL IELTS waivers. It is
Okay.
based on the faculty's recommendations. So you would connect with the faculty from your program and they would let us know if we can provide you with a waiver. As for scores, the minimum TOEFL score we look for is 100 internet-based score. And then for IELTS, it's a 7, and for Duolingo, it's a 130.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope that answers your question. I know we've already run slightly over time, so this is going to be my last question for this evening before I let you all go. What is the ideal GPA that we are looking for in a student who's looking to apply for the MS in Accountancy program at LMU?
We normally would will require a GPA of 3.030, but we do every application in the holistic approach. So sometimes there's a story to tell and we'll look at the entire application. We don't just look at the GPA alone. So if you have a story to tell the story in your personal statement and let us know.
Great. Thank you so much. Emmanuel, I hope that answers your question. Your GPA is a 3.93, but to know more, we've posted the Calendly link to Mafreen. Mafreen will be able to help you. So yes. So with that, I know a couple of more questions are coming. Emily, if you want to drop a link or something, I know we've given Mafreen's contact directly for the students to connect with her. In the meantime, thank you so much, Dr. Plejnik, Dr. Wang, Emily, and Mafreen for joining us on this wonderful evening, afternoon, morning from the different parts of the world that we all are here. It has been a very, very insightful session. I'm sure a lot of students will benefit from it. And yes, we look forward to seeing you all soon. So thank you so much once again. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.